Hello, you'll have to forgive me for this quick little demo. It's a bit adolescence, but sometimes you just have to throw a human skull on the end of a spike and flail it around in the air. Just going to run a little bit of this pretty simple tool path. It's got a little cone with just something, just a mesh stuck on the end of it to make it fun. And it actually uses the data of the mesh. Well, it did use the data of the mesh to start, but then I took it to a sphere. I'm just going to show you some basic scripts. They're coming off a Carl Singh line, and of course I'm doing things. I'm not really carving pumpkins or drawing caricatures. I'm kind of just dreaming away and try not to get too much into my projects. Let me slam this off to here. Oops, not sure where it went. Oh, it went up on my other screen. Let me just pop this over here and grab that grasshopper. So what I have going on, probably in a nutshell, is I can't show everything because when I show everything, the sphere comes in, you can't see the robot. So I'm just going to have to pick and choose what I choose to show you. But the system I'm starting to organize for people is pretty simple. It's just it's a simulation of running through some planar curves, planes on a curve, and just having a little bit of parametric control of where you'd want to move that in the gallery. And of course, there are some problems with this, that the robot's doing things it shouldn't do. You can see by the red. But that's it, and I've got it set on a timer. So what I've done is I have these scripts that come from Carl Singh lines, but I've just framed them up that I can understand them. So everything is kind of based on base geometry. So what I've done here is just produce a sphere, as you can see. I put it through a range, so there's actually two spheres, one with a 400 because I have a number slider of one step, which means it'll go from one step from 400 to 200, which means I have two spheres here. And I guess if I put it over to ghosted, you could maybe see if I put it into something X-ray, you'd see the other one. Anyway, it's just the rendering type, so I'm going to leave it in wireframe. Trust me, it's in there. And then I've also, and I pulled that because I still need a point to orient it to, a construction point that I just have at the 0 axis, and I can play with that in the Z axis. So if I have my things jumping around and doing things, I have a little bit of Z axis control to move things. But I'm just going to leave it at 0 for now. So that's my base geometries I'm using, and I'm going to make some more. Now what I do to those geometries is I put them through a rotation, and I put them through a very simple 3D rotation. There'd be other ways to do this, probably not so repetitive, and I have a Z raising. So what I can do is if I jump into here and just go to the KUKA PRC and take off everything else, you can see that I have a little bit of control over the Z rotation that affects the path because that's of the sphere moving. I have a little bit of rotation in the Y, which really does affect it and actually gets out of range and does some funny patterns. Actually pretty nice, I think. I'll just leave it like that. I'm not sure if it would disconnect. Maybe I should leave it low. I do it through 2 iterations, but as long as you have 2, you're okay. You don't want 1 or else it doesn't do much. If you have 0 and 1, it doesn't do much. And you can affect it kind of sensitively over the different frames of movement of those paths. I just leave that at 2. And that's kind of left over from a past program. And then I could also play with it in the Z-axis. So that runs through. I do those in ranges as well. So I end up getting multiple paths, which is kind of fun, the geometries as I raise and lower. And then I had to switch because we were dealing with, well, I was doing some things with the face normal, so for just deconstructing maths and plane paths and KUKA orientations. And I decided, well, actually, I think I could probably grab that frame and put it in here to the control point and run that over here, and it just has a little bit of an effect. And then I'm still offsetting the points planes to the KUKA, and then I'm going forward to the planes have to be put in the LIN for the KUKA axis offset. Actually, the linear movement, 5 millimeter offset, and that's staying the same. But what I did here was I just kind of do a planar analysis of a whole bunch of planes, and I'm not sure if I can show those. Let's see if I can go to, well, how many planes do I have? Oh, just 2 planes, so there they are. They're visible. That's really where they're going from, and I'm just going to take that one off. But these scripts are available. I'll have them on my GitHub. And this text came from Carl Singline, so I thank him for it. And I then am able to make a custom tool. So I made a custom tool just by a cone that'll go into the tool, and then I imported a mesh, I reduced that mesh, then I connected it, and then I just, after I had it reduced to 1100, just so it would run faster, I end up with this little bit of a very simple skull, and I just got a skull off of, I don't know, some online site. Sorry, every time I do that, it pops out. I have my choice of robots, the big robot, the big KUKA KR90, like 3100 looks pretty cool. And then I do throw it through the simulation, but you can also hook it up just from a 0 to a 1 simulation with lots of decimal points. So I'm just going to play it. You can see that it takes that little skull on its stick and whips it around. You can start playing more and more complex with this. Has a nice little downward motion and then back, and you can have that happen in 12 seconds. You can have it happen in 6 seconds, whatever you want. And I take it all the way up to 60 seconds. So it's nice to play it and throw it through an animation. And actually, I've never even done this. So let's see what happens. There we go. It's kind of playing through the animation like that. And it just went really fast at the start. So you could always set this maybe editing. You could set it to start at 60 or 40. Let's say start at 20 seconds and go up to 60. And let's see if that makes a difference. I'll hit play and then I'll do my animation. It takes a little bit to load and then boom. So it's kind of got a different pace of moving, and that's just to get a little different flow. So it slows down near the end, starts fast and then goes into the end, and then runs up 33 seconds and goes to the rest of the 60. So that's kind of cool. Just playing around with that, and then of course I end it with being able to pull it in the FOLOGRAM. And if you really wanted to, with the FOLOGRAM apps at the start, as long as I put on my, I haven't done it, but let me grab my, I don't have my connections left. Let me just grab my sync tool, pop it in there. And there you go. You can sync up your parameters and you can take it in the FOLOGRAM, have your XY rotation and your Z axis, have a little bit of control while you're running it. Let's put it back up to 60 seconds, hit play, and then also come back down here. And as we're looking at it, let's have a little animation go in the Z-axis. So I'm really just kind of making a game out of this for myself. It's a little slow in choosing that. There we go. So that will affect and roll, and in the same breath, I can do an animation in the Y. And this is where my studies are just kind of going. And you see a little bit of skidding and jumping, which is all right. And just take it through the last iteration in the Z and see what that does. So that's kind of jumping as well. So you could build a bunch of frames for a pretty interesting GIF, and you could program this to do whatever you want. I'm just trying to make it so if you had the script and then taking it in the AR, and FOLOGRAM's pretty nice. Just type in FOLOGRAM, which I've been pushing lately, and you get your little QR code. And because those parameters are actually synced, you put this on your phone with your phone app, put it on your HoloLens. If you actually afford one, you can bring this into augmented reality. Next thing you know, you get a virtual show. So it's a really interesting way for a sculptor to think of modeling, but also starting to make exhibitions with virtual or augmented reality. And that's where I'm going with this stuff. So thanks for watching, and it's still completing its circle. Yeah, that's it. Hope you enjoyed.